In this tutorial, we'll take a look at how you can set up and configure the interaction between Infigo and Avatax from Avalara. This primarily consists of inputting account information from your Avatax account into Infigo and is ultimately quite simple to configure. In our example, we're utilizing a sandbox account within Avatax, meaning the process may differ slightly from your live instance. So I'm on a new storefront here, and all I've really done is created a customer and a product. First thing we're going to do is ensure that the Avatax plugin is enabled on the Connect settings screen. Next, we'll begin to configure the settings for our Avatax plugin. So I'm going to go to the Connect plugins screen, and then go to Configure next to Avalara Avatax Provider. Now in here, we need to enter our account details. Note that all 4 authentication fields are not required to be filled. Either input the username and password, or you can do the account ID and license key. And all of these can be located in your Avatax account. In our case, we're working with Avatax's sandbox mode, so we're going to enable this particular checkbox. And then scrolling down slightly, you can check to include freight details. So this will include the freight details as a new line in the transaction area of your Avatax account. Scrolling down a bit further, we have a range of default settings. First in here, we have the default tax rate. This is the percentage tax rate that will be utilized if a value cannot be returned from Avatax via the integration. Below here, we can also enter a range of default information on company code, customer code, and default tax code. And again, these relevant bits of information can be located from your Avatax account. I'm going to select a required shipping tax code. And then scrolling down to the final section here, we do have the ability to enter a ship from address. And this will be utilized as a source location for your shipments. With all that completed, click on Save. Next, let's ensure that Avatax is being utilized as our primary tax provider. I'm going to do this by searching for tax providers. You can see we've got a list of all of our available tax providers, and I'm just going to find Avatax and click on Mark as Primary Provider. Next, I'm going to navigate to my tax settings. So tax settings contains a large range of options allowing you to fine-tune how tax is utilized and displayed. There are no settings in here that are specific to Avatax, however they will work alongside Avatax. So a couple of examples. I can see here where I've got my tax based on option. By selecting something different in here, so let's say shipping address from tax based on, this means that the entered shipping address on the checkout screen for your customer will be used for the calculation of tax and will be passed into Avatax. Another example is tax on delivery, where you see I have the ability to select controlled by provider. I'm going to save any changes I've made, and next I'm going to navigate to tax categories. Even though they will not directly be used, we still need to ensure a tax category is available and then assign it to our products for which tax calculation is a factor. So for example, I've got 3 on my particular storefront here. I'm just going to utilize standard. It doesn't really matter which one I use. We just need to be able to assign any of them to a product that requires tax calculation. So next I'm going to go to my list of products And on the product I created in advance of creating the video, I'm going to go to my product variant settings. And I'm going to scroll down and navigate to the section which deals with tax. So I'm just going to select on my product one of those tax categories. One of these needs to be selected in order for tax to be calculated for this product when it's ordered. And I'm just going to go up to the top of the screen and save those changes. I'm then going to go to customer management. So what we're going to do next is ensure that we have a customer with a shipping address. Now, addresses can be input during the ordering process, of course. However, we can also predefine addresses to accounts to simplify the process. Other resources in the Infigo Academy and Help Center will show this in more detail. So I'm just going to go and edit the customer I've made. Go to my addresses section and add a new address. I'm going to save that, and I'm just going to set that as my default shipping and billing address. So it's already selected when we're going through the order process. Next, let's go ahead and impersonate this customer and proceed with a sample order. I'm going to go ahead and add that product to basket. And we can see that tax is being calculated for this order. Information is being sent from Infigo to Avatax during the interaction with the Infigo basket. Calculations are taking place in Avatax, which is then returning a calculated tax rate. Once we place this order, we can head over to our Avatax account and obtain some additional details on how this tax was calculated. So I'm just going to go ahead and place that order. So I've just navigated to that transaction within my Avatax account. We can see here that this transaction contains all the relevant details from the order placed within Infigo. This includes the ship from and ship to addresses, and a breakdown of all the individual line items and their associated tax calculations.